Hello everyone. A word of warning before we start today's video. Catch up on your sleep before you start reading any of these books, because you're going to need the rest. Because once you start reading these, no matter what time of day or night it is, you are going to want to stay up and finish them. That's how good all three of these are. And even if you do finish it before bedtime, you're going to have a hard time sleeping through some of these horrors, let me tell you. And before we get started, I want to remind you that you can purchase my horror books at the link in the description if you're into that. You can join my Patreon and get free stories from me every month, free horror books from other authors every month, and other things. If you want to support the channel, you can check out that link on Patreon. And my other channel, Horror Stories Daily, where I just post and read horror stories, short horror stories. And you can read along or listen to them, whatever you want to do. There's no charge. So if that's something you're interested in, check out that link. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first book I want to talk about today is called The Cold Visitor. This is a story about a cursed woman, but it's unlike anything you've ever read. At least unlike anything I've ever read when it comes to that trope of, a family being cursed. This one is so good. It's so emotional. It's so compelling. You will not be able to put it down. And it's about an older couple, too. The husband is 69. The wife is 68 years old. They met 20 years previously. So they were kind of late getting started in their relationship. But they fell in love and they got married, and they love each other very much. But what this woman has not told her husband all these years is that her bloodline, her family is cursed. Throughout generations, all the way back from the 1700s, every 40 to 50 years, they have to perform this ritual that takes several days. It's very horrifying and it's very painful, because there's a creature that comes to them they call the visitor, a very malevolent, eldritch, cosmic horror type entity that has honed itself on their bloodline, let's say. Now, this woman has already experienced these horrific things twice in her life. Once when she was a child, and once 20 years earlier, right before she met her future husband. And she was just coming off of that ritual when they actually met, and you'll read all about that in there. It's absolutely emotional. Once you read about how they met and what she did right before they met. And so she thinks she can live out the rest of her life now, because this thing only comes every 40 to 50 years. And it's only been 20. And there's 4 parts to this ritual. 1, the cold. 2, the door. 3, the static. And then the visitor. And right away at the beginning of this book, in the middle of one of the most vicious heat waves that part of England has ever experienced, her husband is inside. They don't have any fans on, no air conditioning, and he's got a sweater on because he's cold. And she realizes right then that it's happening now, and it's happening way earlier than what it should. And she knows the dangers. She knows that this thing will take and eat things and people if she doesn't follow the rules of this ritual. And so now she has to not only convince her husband that these things are real, that she has not lost her mind, and when she confesses to him that she is a murderer. She, like right before they met, she had killed someone as a sacrifice to this visitor, because that's the only way this visitor will not enter the world and kill everybody on the planet, is if a member of her bloodline sacrifices somebody they love. It can't be a random person. It can't be somebody they just like. It has to be somebody they love and would do anything for. So now she knows it's back, and she knows the only way to end this is she's probably going to have to kill her husband. And this book is just, we're going to get to see all four parts of these rituals. And they might sound innocent. Oh, the cold. Just wait until you read about it. And then what's with the door? That is absolutely gruesome, what they have to do to make this door. And then, of course, you got the static and then the visitor. But when her husband starts to see things and experience things, he's very much convinced that she's telling the truth, and he's with her all the way to fight this thing, although she doesn't tell him how it ultimately ends and what she's got to do to stop it. She's trying to spare him from knowing that she is going to have to kill him at the end. So will she do that? Is it possible not to do that and survive? You're going to have to read to find out. But the relationship between this couple is really the cementing factor of this book, because they are so well written. And you can tell their love for one another. This feeling that they will put themselves through hell and sacrifice themselves for each other. And it just gets heartbreaking, and it gets absolutely bonkers terrifying, because this thing is very, very real. And the things they experience and the things they have to go through are just brutal and horrific. And, oh man, it just gets you in all the feels. And I absolutely love this book. It takes that family curse trope and it just does something way different with it than what I was expecting. And man, I stayed up all night reading it. I do not regret a thing. And I absolutely highly recommend it to you. And there is a link in the description where you can pick up your copy. And next we have Strange Sally Diamond. Oh man, after I read this book, I finished it actually about 6 o'clock in the morning, this morning, my time here in Cambodia. I started reading it about 9 o'clock last night. If that gives you any indication of what I'll do, how good this book was, how much I absolutely could not put it down. This is a book I would consider a must-read. And the thing is, it might not be traditionally horror, but there are some horrific things that happen in here. And when I put it down, I was emotionally devastated. I was psychologically felt like I'd been on an endless loop-de-loop roller coaster. I was just all discombobulated. Because this book will give you all the feels, all the emotions. You'll feel anger. You'll feel terror. You will feel sadness a lot. And even though there is some happiness spread throughout this book, it's all overshadowed by this Sally Diamond's past and the things that happened to her. And Sally is, when we first meet her, she is a 42-year-old woman living with her adoptive father. She was adopted when she was 6 years old. The earliest thing she remembers is when she was 7 years old. Anything that happened before then, she does not remember. But people call her a lot of things. Some people think she's autistic. Her father, who is a brilliant psychiatrist, says she is not. She is just different. She is very socially awkward. Very much does not like people, does not like being touched, doesn't understand any societal things, how to get along in society, how to get along with people. She doesn't understand any of it, and she takes things very literally. So her adoptive father is dying, and she lives with him. And he jokingly says one day, "Hey, when I die, just throw me out in the rubbish bin in the back and just burn me with the rest of the trash." And she doesn't know he's joking. So when he passes away, that's what she does. She burns his body, not knowing it's, that's a crime. But she's very open about it because she doesn't think she did anything wrong. All of her interactions in this book, and up to a certain point, they're so cringy in a good way. Like, you feel for her. She is one of the most sympathetic characters you'll ever read. To the point where everybody in town, a lot of people in town think she's deaf. Because she plays deaf just so she doesn't have to talk to people. That's how awkward she is socially. But she burns her adoptive father in the bin. The police get notified. And so now she's got some legal problems. And people are worried about her being on her own. And they eventually and reluctantly, she agrees to take lessons from them and how to be more social, how to be more socially acceptable. And we're going to have that journey with her. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it does not, because she is known for just saying the wrong thing, even though she doesn't realize it's a wrong thing. She's very blunt and to the point, kind of. But here's the thing about Sally. She's like that for a reason. Because we are going to delve into her past before she was 7 years old and find out the circumstances of her birth and her life up to 6 years old. And it is brutal. It is horrific. It is terrifying. And it's based in enough reality where you can see that happening. And that makes the creep factor even more up there. Because it is absolutely devastating. The circumstances of her birth and what happened to her mother. And all of that is hanging over her head throughout the course of this book. We're reading this book from most of the time from her first person perspective. So we can get into her mind. And she's just a woman you despite all her social awkwardness, you just want to grab her. You just want to protect her. That's how good this character is written. You know, extremely sympathetic. And then other chapters are written in first person by somebody named Peter. I am not going to give that away. Peter is going to be connected to Sally in some way. You are going to have to read about that because that just makes it even more brutal and horrific what happened to her in the past. Yeah, this book is just an emotional roller coaster. It is, as I said, it's heartbreaking. It's sad. It's horrific and what happened to her. And it's devastating, man. I mean, I just felt, at the end, you know. But I loved it so much. Like, that's why I couldn't put it down. And yeah, this is like a must-read book in my opinion. And, of course, I highly recommend it. And there is a link in the description. And you need to pick up your copy. And next we have Where Dark Things Rise. Do you like 80s horror novel? I do. Do you like small town Appalachian horror stories? I do. Do you like religious horror stories? Yes. Do you like supernatural horror stories? Of course. This one's got all of that. And that's why it's an absolutely great book to read. But again, one that you won't want to be able to put down. Because this is set in the 80s. It is set in a small town in the Appalachian Mountains. And it does contain elements of religious horror and supernatural horror combined. And it's about a girl in high school. She's considered poor white trash by a lot of people because she lives in a trailer park. And she takes a lot of abuse from some of the kids on the other side of town who are kind of well off and rich and everything. She has a very dark secret though. She can control these supernatural dark shadow creatures when she gets upset or when she's hurt by somebody or something. She'll see these creatures and they will whisper in her ear to let them loose, and they will kill people and they will eat people. They'll take care of her problems, but they only know how to do that through violence. And she can control them. So she could just unleash hell on people who hurt her, but she's trying very hard not to. There's also a preacher in town. And this preacher, Ezra, he preaches hellfire and brimstone and about the sins of the flesh and, you know, the homosexuals are going to hell, and all that kind of stuff. And but behind the scenes, he is anything but godly. He has his own very dark, twisted, supernatural thing going on, which we're going to find out in the most horrifying way. And one day, our protagonist's friend has to go to this church camp. Her parents are making her go because of her sinful ways. They have this retreat in the woods. It's all nature, no conveniences. They have to sleep in tents. They have to intense Bible study and prayers and all that kind of stuff. But her friend goes missing from that camp, and that's not the first time people have gone missing from this religious camp. The church thinks her friend is gay, even though she's not, but they think she is. And she is very rebellious and defiant while she's there, and that puts her in a great deal of danger because, once again, when you read about horror stories that have this kind of element, it's always the humans that are, more evil and act more evil than anything supernatural. And we'll see that in this instance in this camp. But her friend goes missing. And nobody seems to want to do anything about it because we're going to find out that this reverend, he might have a church of God, but he is anything but godly. And he has other intentions. And people have joined him in this town. And it's like a conspiracy of people, from city officials all the way up to the high ranking in the police department there. And so they know what's going on, and they're not really concerned about it. Let's put it that way. But we're going to find out why she went missing, what the purpose of these missing people are. And this girl and her gift is going to meet this evil reverend and his gift. And at some point, something has got to give, because it is going to get absolutely terrifying when they do. This book is filled with action. It's paced extremely well, so you don't want to quit reading. Each chapter ends a certain way, and you're just like, oh, I got to find out what happens, because I can't end it like that. At least that's what I was thinking. And, oh man, it just gets bonkers, over the top, brutal and horrifying and all that good stuff when these supernatural forces start showing themselves. And again, you have all these sympathetic characters that ratchets up the tension and the terror, because you're invested in these characters by that point. And yeah, it's just a fantastic, dark, supernatural 80s Appalachian horror story that starts out strong and just gets even stronger throughout. I absolutely love this book. Of course, I highly recommend it. And as always, there's a link in the description where you can pick up your copy. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.